Welcome everyone. Welcome to the first e-learning session of manual handling. My name is Michael, and I'll be presenting to you via a voiceover and recording about manual handling and ergonomics. To provide a bit of an overview as to what this session entails, we will be defining what is manual handling and how it can affect you as a worker. Culture and bad habits we've developed over time through complacency and how we can change that. Potential injuries, and some statistics from SafeWork New South Wales and SafeWork Australia about incidents that have happened that is in relation to manual handling. The three zones of lifting, which is the green zone, the orange zone, sometimes known as yellow or amber, and the red zone. Some top tips when lifting and things to remember, and ergonomics and how to set up your desk. Sometimes we consider or think to ourselves, what really is manual handling? And some of us may think, I work in an office. Manual handling doesn't affect me. However, you might be wrong. Manual handling doesn't just only affect retail and hospitality and construction. Manual handling affects even office workers. In an office, we may have from time to time the opportunity or position where we have to push, pull, carry something with our hands or using bodily force. Think about setting up a room, a meeting room in fact, moving chairs or moving the tables to accommodate for our audience. Think about lifting boxes or folders from a shelf that is above your shoulders height or below your knee height. Essentially, manual handling involves a combination of the following, which is repetitive and sustained force, a sudden force, repetitive movement, awkward postures, and exposure to vibration. And if you think about the culture and bad habits and complacency, it kind of does get a little bit scary. And think about almost 50% of workplace injuries occur because of some sort of hazardous manual handling task and the complacency around it. And one of the biggest outcomes or negative outcomes of manual handling is the development of an STI. In the workers' comp sphere, an STI stands for a soft tissue injury, pretty much like a sprain or a strain along a nerve compression, muscular or vascular disorders. And at times, incidents related to manual handling are an occurrence of the victim and their own complacency because of their lack of vigilance due to task familiarity. Essentially, that means because we've done something so many times in repetition, we tend to forget the negative implications of doing the task incorrectly. And with our culture, we need to understand that it takes time to change. Some of us may turn around to ourselves and say, but I've always been doing this particular task in that particular way. And this is what we need to start fixing. We need to reinvent the wheel in our own selves and practice it. So to reshape a culture, it requires the reshaping of the behavior of enough people for long enough for that new behavior to internalize itself. Then that new behavior will become a habit. If enough workers internalizes a new behavior, becomes a habit, the message will then grow to the other employees as that employee who's redeveloped the behavior will then share the message across. So some statistics of manual handling related injuries in 2014 and 2015. SafeWork Australia and SafeWork New South Wales have on their websites, and everyone's more than welcome to take a look, a couple of statistics in regards to injuries. In relation to manual handling, 29% of the claims in 2014 and 2015 were related to the upper limbs. Upper limbs are anything between your shoulders, elbows, your forearms, your chest, your neck. And 29% were related to the back, which could be the lower back, some of you may know it, or the lumbar, or the sacral spine. 41% of all claims were due to some sort of muscular stress while handling any object or a particular object. And think about that. 41% of muscular stress. That's quite massive. Some areas that are more likely to be affected by poor culture of manual handling. 13% of your hands, or your hands are likely to have 13% of an injury. 10% of all claims were related to the knee, and 21 were related to the back. Now I want everyone to stop and think about for a second the last time they had to lift an awkward or heavy object. How did your back feel? How did your hands feel? And your knees? And your shoulders? Probably not good. And if it was great, it doesn't mean that you're able to do it again. Stresses to the body can grow over time and become a chronic syndrome rather than acute. Where an acute is a rapid onset of pain, chronic is the development of pain over a long period of time. So the 3 zones of lifting. So the green zone is the best and most ideal way of lifting. And the reason of that is because your elbows are bent towards your body, the center of gravity is closer, and it puts less strain on your joints and reduces the likelihood of injury. The amber zone is in between the green and the red. The amber zone, your arms are slightly extended, however, not straight completely. It is okay to lift in this zone, however, it is recommended to keep it to a minimum. Wherever possible, always lift in the green zone. The red zone is recommended to, or not really recommended at all. The red zone forces you to keep your body at an extension, so overextending your limbs will cause muscular strain. If you think about it, when you go home tonight, grab a bottle of water, hold it to your chest for 5 minutes, and the very task would probably seem laughable. But do the same thing with the same bottle of water in the red zone, where your arm is overextended for 5 minutes. That's when you're going to start feeling pressure on your shoulder, your arm, and it'll be harder to maintain that position for a longer period of time. Some top tips to remember when you're lifting. Firstly, always try to warm up whenever you can. If you know you're going to be lifting or doing something repetitive over a long period of time, it is essential to stretch. Some good stretches to remember is take your left hand, hold up your wrist in a stop fashion, and twist your fingers pointing down to the floor. By doing this, ensuring that your elbow is locked straight, and grab your right hand, hold your fingertips and pull the tips to your body. At this point, if you're using your left arm, your left elbow should be straight, your wrist should be bent while your fingers are being pointed to the floor, and your right hand is pulling your fingers back. This stretch will enable you to stretch out your forearm and roughly around the elbow area. Another good stretch to remember is stretching your neck. If you can, grab your left hand or your right hand and put it to the opposite ear over your head. So using your left hand, travel your hand above your head to your right ear and put your fingertips on the ear itself. By doing this, pull your head to the left, and if you are using your left hand, your left ear should be touching or getting close to your left shoulder by pulling it to the left hand side. This will enable you to stretch your upper neck all around to warm up. Essentially, when you're lifting, you are surprisingly using your neck muscles rather than anything else. Another top tip is to always test your load. Sometimes complacency comes into play here, where we look at an object and we tell ourselves, that doesn't look very heavy, and we try it, and that's when a potential injury may occur. Testing a load is quick and easy. All you have to do is nudge the product, box, or object to test the load and to see if you're capable of lifting it. At this point, if you've nudged or tested the product or object and you've deemed it to be too heavy, you will need to go and ask for assistance in lifting. Do not feel bad about asking for assistance, as each of every one of us have different capabilities of lifting, and that is okay to be a little bit different to someone else. Remember to always keep the object close. Putting on that green zone, what you need to do is keep the object close to your center of gravity and keeping your elbows bent. By doing that, your body will support the load rather than stressing or overextending any limbs and causing fatigue. Our spine, as a human, is in a natural S-curve made up of 4 components: the cervical curvature, thoracic, lumbar, and sacral. These 4 sections make up the human spine, which is naturally in an S form. When we lift an object in a poor fashion, by curving our back over like a C and lifting the object, puts stress and pressure on a thoracic and lumbar spine. Think back to a time where you've lifted something by bending over and you felt as if you had pressure on your lower back. That is essentially the pain you'd feel by lifting poorly. If you were to lift with the natural S by dropping your hips and lifting with your hips rather than your back, you are less likely to cause any stress or strain on any parts of your spine, thus reducing the likelihood of a potential injury. Ergonomics is a huge thing, and that even comes down to how we set up our own workspaces. Like the green, amber, and red zone, this similar formula sits with us on our desks. The green zone can be represented in our usual workspace, which hosts anything such as a keyboard, mouse, or water bottle that we will touch more than 5 times per day. The occasional workspace is an area that we will touch less than 5 times a day. Things that could usually sit in the usual work area or occasional work area is laptops, folders, chocolates, or anything that we will touch once in a while throughout the day. The non-working area should host anything that we will touch less than 5 times per week, and that could range from document holders, calendars, pictures of family, or textbooks. Ergonomics and sitting on our desk for long periods of time can become strenuous on our bodies. It may seem funny to think that sitting down can cause potential stress and an injury over long periods of time. So just remember, it is important to stretch throughout the day while sitting down. If you can make a habit of it, try and stretch twice a day. By stretching, you will increase your blood flow and reduce the likelihood of potential experiences of bad posture. Some of these potential experiences could be stress or acute syndromes in your lower back or upper. Some stretches to remember are to stretch your arms, forearms, neck, wrists, and lower back. Like the picture depicted on the right, these are a couple ideas you need to do to increase blood flow. And it's healthy to stand up and go for a walk around the office. Stand up and go to the bathroom on a different level by using the stairs. Or even going outside and walking around the block to stretch and increase blood flow. Some potential outcomes of bad ergonomics could be anything from pain in your fingers, wrists, or any other part of your body, which may include a dull arcing pain, to the more extreme cases of sharp stabbing pain or even a burning sensation. Tingling or numbness can particularly be in the hands or fingers, which includes swelling, inflammation, and joint stiffness. If you are experiencing these, it is highly recommended you stretch throughout the day to increase the blood flow in your fingertips, fingers, and wrists. This will reduce the likelihood of potential injuries in those areas. And extremities, around turning white in your fingertips or feeling cold, usually means muscle tightness or even a pinched nerve. By stretching, you'll reduce the likelihood of these chronic syndromes happening over time. And in regards to this, chronic is an exposure or continuation of pain over a long period of time, whereas an acute syndrome is something that happens in a rapid onset of pain. And remember one thing, we're not superhuman. We all have our own limits, and we need to be honest to ourselves. If we are lifting an object and we feel like we're in pain, it is recommended to stop lifting, stretch, and allow your body to recover before you continue again. And similar in ergonomics. If you are feeling like your body is in pain, or any of the potential outcomes I've discussed in the previous slide, best thing I could recommend is to stand up, stretch, and go for a walk. To provide a bit of an overview of what we learned today, remember that manual handling includes lifting, putting down, pushing, pulling, carrying, or moving any object, item, or product. We develop complacency over time as we climatize to our job and as we may accept what we do as the normal behavior, even though it may be unsafe. We need to tackle complacency because complacency is the thing that will get us, will cause harm, will be a factor contributing to our injuries. And please, it is essential to remember the 3 zones of lifting. The green zone is the best indicator of to the location and how to lift an object. The closer it is to your body, the better it is for you in the long term. Lifting awkward objects, it's also good to use this particular tool to do so. And it's good to mentally remember it while you're undergoing any sort of manual handling in the office or at home or at any other place of work. Remember all these tips as a guideline to develop safe lifting practices. And remember, none of these rules are hard and fast and set in concrete, but just remember them as a guide to help you ensure you reduce the likelihood of any sort of injury to yourself. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I do hope you've taken away a couple of good points as to what to do in regards to lifting or sitting down at your desk. Thank you again, and I hope you have a lovely day.